Hello, everyone. I'm Adam Robinson, CEO and co-founder of Hireology, and I am here to give you a quick rundown of what the October 2021 Bureau of Labor Statistics Jobs Report means for you. This month was a refreshing one after the dismal September. Employers added 531,000 jobs in October, beating economists' prediction of about 450,000 for the month. Additionally, unemployment dropped to 4.6%, continuing the steady downward trend we've seen month over month since April of 2020. A big reason why we may have seen an uptick here is more people getting vaccinated and the decline of the Delta variant. Fewer cases and more vaccinated people means people are going out and they're traveling and they're demanding more from the economy, and businesses in turn need to hire. On top of that, folks who previously stayed out of the workforce due to COVID concerns might be feeling a little bit more safe because of the decline in Delta. Additionally, federal supplements to unemployment assistance ended in September. That, combined with likely depletion of savings, may have motivated some people to get back to work in October. But I will say that overall, we are not the same economy that we were before the pandemic. The workforce has fundamentally changed in terms of what they want and expect from their employers, and employers have just not made all the changes they need to keep up with these evolving trends. So it's likely to continue that we'll see job gains rising and falling over the next 6 to 12 months until we reach a point where supply and demand is more even, and that is all about the expansion of the current labor force. But as always, just to show how far we've come, here's a look at the overall changes in unemployment since the beginning of the pandemic. We've seen slow decreases in unemployment from month to month, and we're inching our way closer and closer each month to that pre-pandemic low of 3.5%, which I predict is going to be a pretty tough number to hit again anytime in the near future. And I'm going to touch on that now. Most of the job gains in this last report came in leisure and hospitality. That makes sense, of course, coming off a big COVID wave. People are looking to get out and travel and go to restaurants and return to normalcy after our most recent scare. And as a result, hotels, bars, and restaurants need to staff up. We're also seeing a return of business travel. On top of this, I think the people in the hospitality space were slow to return to work, again, because of COVID and because of just the stockpiling of savings and on top of increased federal benefits. But I think many of these people are starting to come back into the labor pool. Professional and business services and manufacturing round out the top 3 job gainers. Among Hireology customers, we saw a slight decrease in jobs created. I think this can be attributed to the easing of the spread of Delta and increasing vaccination rates. But our number of hires took a slight dip, which I think is due to the increased competition that we're going to continue to see as the job market improves slowly but surely. And our customers' time to hire metric continues to consistently drop. Now, we've seen our first month of under 20 days, less than 3 weeks. This tells us that talent is going fast. So as employers look to hire and compete, you really have to set yourself up to move quickly as well. Otherwise, you're just going to lose out on top applicants to other competitors who happen to be going faster than you in the hiring process, especially those like Amazon, our friends at Amazon. They're able to pay a lot and offer really great benefits and other perks. So like I mentioned before, I think this month's jobs growth is certainly a good thing. It's an impressive number, but I don't think it signals full recovery yet. I think competition for talent is going to continue to heat up. Why? Well, for one, we're reaching a point where people are starting to get back to work, right? As big companies like Amazon and Walmart are looking to hire massive amounts of people for the upcoming holiday season. So in addition to this continued competition, just because of the nature of the recovery and the labor shortage, you now have to compete with companies that can pay more and offer things like signing bonuses and healthcare for hourly seasonal workers as we approach the end of the year. Additionally, the pool of people you're competing for remains smaller than the pre-pandemic level. I referenced this before in terms of the size of the workforce. The workforce participation rate, that's the number of people in the working age population that are actively seeking work, continues to be stubbornly low and is lingering at about 2 percentage points below the pre-pandemic level. Now, we can attribute this to factors like early retirement, women leaving the workforce temporarily due to lack of childcare options, and a steadily declining birth rate. Even as we get good months like October, the pandemic really did a number on the size of the workforce, and I anticipate that hiring will just continue to be a struggle for some time. I predict this is not a 6-month thing. This is more like a 2 to 3 year thing. Now, I am confident there's a lot you can do to not only survive, but also win and get ahead as we continue to navigate all of this uncertainty. Of course, what many of the biggest companies are doing is simply paying more. This likely would work well in the short term, but in a long term, it's just kind of a race to profit erosion. Plus, it's not always feasible. Many of you just can't compete with the Amazons of the world in terms of pay and sign-on bonuses. But what you can do is compete on employment branding and what you offer outside of just pay. Big companies like Amazon don't always have the best reputation in terms of working conditions and culture. That's where you can show that you have a leg up. If you know you can provide workers with more fulfillment, more flexibility, increase happiness at work, and in general, better working conditions, you can make this known through your local markets, through employment branding. So just like you would when selling your company and products to customers, you have to sell your jobs to job seekers. You do this with your career site. You do this with great job descriptions, and you do this with social media strategy. Next, you have to get really creative with sourcing. You can't just post your jobs to job boards and call it a day. These job boards are incredibly crowded and everyone is just bidding each other's prices up. Plus, most job seekers on sites like Indeed are not always looking for work. It's really easy to apply to lots of different roles. So often you end up with a quantity over quality problem. And finally, you can compete by setting yourself up to move faster. People who are looking for work have a lot of options and they're in communication with 5, 7, or 10 or more companies. You can't take weeks or even days to respond to these applicants and keep them moving throughout the process. They're just going to drop off before you get to them. You have to get your time to hire down into that 19-day range I just referenced. And of course, these last 3 steps are much easier when you have an all-in-one hiring tool like Hireology, which helps you build your employment branding, helps you source across multiple channels, and then helps you move candidates through your process quickly and predictably with an intuitive platform. And that's what Hireology can do. So please reach out to us if you're looking for support. Again, this is Adam Robinson with your October BLS report. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next month.